Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everybody and all the superstars all around the world. As you know, the Talent Tribe is the talented place where thought leaders from all over the world come through, and they're from everybody. Right now, on this very live stream, we have people in Europe right now. We have people in Germany, Munich. We have people in South Africa, Sydney, Australia, Brazil, and we just want to give them a huge shout out. Thank you so much for the support. And of course, everybody in America and Canada, as well as Mexico, all of mi gente over there. We have a wonderful guest for you today. This is the part number 8 of we have Burlington, North Carolina, Big Mitch 642 joining us live on Periscope as well. We have a wonderful interview today with Erica Blair. She is actually in Southeast Asia right now, where she's leveraging her currency like crazy. And we're about to just really get into what it takes to be a digital nomad. So I met Erica through social media, and I saw she was in Chiang Mai. I was interested, and I was looking up prices and apartments and flights and stuff. And I was like, hey, if I'm interested in this kind of information, maybe other people are going to be interested in this as well. And I'm not a fan of selfish conversations where I would keep this conversation to myself, because I feel what we're about to talk about is going to be of value to many people. So without further ado, Erica Blair, tell the fine folk in the Talent Tribe a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me, first of all. I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I am a marketing strategist and a digital nomad. So basically, I work at the moment mostly with clients directly on doing strategy design for their business. Although I am developing training materials and things that are a little bit more scalable on that side of things. I have been running this business for the last few years. And I lived in Thailand previously and actually worked as a teacher, but shifted gears. And when I was back in America, I was really looking for something that I could do that I felt would have a bigger impact. And so I was drawn to the marketing and social media side of things, which has now allowed me to move back to Thailand and actually be able to live the kind of lifestyle I want to live here, which is awesome.
So tell us about your lifestyle that you live right now.
I live out in the jungle here in Chiang Mai. We might get some cicadas buzzing. They sound like buzzsaws. They love to come in on all of my Snapchats, etc. So people who chat with me over there definitely know that sound. But I love Chiang Mai because it's such a beautiful mix between urban and rural. That we have a really vibrant city, and then we also have vast, beautiful, jungly nature, like literally 10 minutes from city center, which is where I live. And not only that, in the last 6 years, like I lived in Chiang Mai about 6 years ago, and then I left for 5 years. And during that time, there's been an absolute explosion of entrepreneurs and nomads and people who work online here. And this has kind of ended up becoming the nexus for the digital nomad community, which is kind of hilarious to me because I fell in love with Chiang Mai like in a totally different way. And so to watch it grow with me and kind of end up having so many people who are on the same page as me here is like a dream come true, because I already enjoyed this city, enjoyed the vibe here, enjoyed the culture here. And I guess I wasn't the only one.
When you say people on the same page as you, what do you mean exactly?
I mean people who are really trying to make stuff happen in their own lives and who are working on creating something larger than themselves. Like when I lived in America, you know, I had lots of friends. I honestly know more people here in Thailand who are entrepreneurs, are doing really interesting, amazing things with their business than I ever did in the US, which is kind of crazy when you look at the amount of people here. It's a much smaller community here, but it's the proportion of people who are doing really interesting, inspiring things is very, very high, which I love.
Are they American?
Oh, there's people from all around the world here.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Of course, lots of Americans because there's 300 million of us.
Oh, wow.
We've got the number, you know, we've got the numbers compared to like European countries, etc., which are a lot smaller.
Right, for sure. So let's go ahead and backtrack real quick. So that's what your life's like right now. How did you get there? Did you just like, were you born in Thailand? What's the deal? How did you get there? What
No.
happened?
It all started actually 2 weeks after I graduated from college. I graduated in 2008. Not quite knowing that the economy was about to crash, but also not wanting to do any job that I could think of in America at that time. And so 2 weeks after I graduated, I got on a one-way ticket to Asia. I ended up spending 3 years in Asia, working as a teacher. And then I spent 2 years in Australia where I launched and ran my own business. And so that was my first foray into entrepreneurship, was starting that business and basically getting familiar with all of the marketing side of things. Because it was my own business, I was very invested in it. And so I got to really explore and experiment and figure out what worked for that particular business. So that was amazing. But then ended up moving back to America and wanting to transition kind of from doing the entire gamut of entrepreneur activities with actually doing all the selling, etc., to kind of focusing more on the part that I found really interesting, which was marketing and digital marketing and designing the marketing strategy, studying social media and the different kinds of tactics that actually work with promoting products and services online.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm also in marketing as well, and it's one of my favorite parts of business. I'm also in entrepreneurship, just like you. And I really find your story very interesting because I outsource to the Philippines. I have a outsourcing company in the Philippines, so I spend a lot of my time there, and it's very inexpensive to live, which means you can use your resources towards bigger things. Like basically, you can buy more Facebook ads, you can buy more Twitter ads, you could buy more pay-per-click, you could maybe invest on a fancier email system or whatever the case may be. You can just invest more. And I always, literally 100% of the time, invest my resources into marketing. The more that you put into marketing, the more leads that you get. The more leads that you get, the more sales that you get. The more sales you get, the more revenue you get, and the more you can reinvest. And it's a cycle that's very profitable and it's amazing. So that's just kind of my school of thought on that. Walk us through what it's like to be a digital nomad, have your currency really leveraged in another place. Because I know, like, I was looking in Chiang Mai, and there was places that were like $300 to rent out for a month. What's that like? What's the cost savings of living in some place like Chiang Mai versus San Francisco to do your startup?
I'm from San Francisco, so I understand the the cost of living there very well. Actually, I'm from Palo Alto, which is almost worse. And basically for me, living here with an extremely low cost of living is what's allowing me to focus on building my business. So when I lived in America, when I was doing only client work, I had to really focus on building that up, doing as much as I possibly could just to survive. And now that I'm in Chiang Mai, coming here was a conscious decision because I could see that my business really needed some attention, needed me to be able to focus on it if I was going to be able to grow and to do anything more scalable than hour by hour client work. And so I came to Thailand not only because I love it and because I just felt like I missed it, but also because I saw that being here presented the opportunity for me to be able to cut back on the hourly work that was, kind of paying my basic bills in America and focus more energy on my own business. And you're right, the cost of living here is extremely affordable. I just moved into this place. This is I call it a mansion because for me it is. It's a giant 2-bedroom house. It's $400 a month. Before I was living in a 1-bedroom that was $200 a month. Food here is $1 a plate. And it depends because you can spend quite a bit of money if you wanted to here. It's not like it's impossible to go out to fancy restaurants, go out to bars, and you can spend money here. but you can't get close to what it costs to live in the States, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, it provides the opportunity to focus on things that have a long-term payoff, which is really important to me. And I think anybody that's running a business has to start thinking about things in those terms, because as you talked about, like marketing, et cetera, it's all an investment. It's something that takes upfront capital, upfront energy, upfront time, and being able to give that energy, give that time, give that capital, is paying off for me in terms of what I hope to be able to accomplish further down the road.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. So what's like a realistic budget for somebody who wants to live, maybe not go crazy, maybe eat a few meals out, mostly buy their groceries and maybe go out once or twice a week? You know, nothing too crazy. What's an average realistic budget to live in Chiang Mai?
Well, going out here is actually easy or cheaper than eating in, because food cooked for you is $1 a plate if you go to local Thai restaurants. So it really depends which area you live in. A lot of people come here and they stick very closely to the Nomad area, which is basically a very expat heavy area, less like local street food. And so you can spend a little bit more. I would say $1,000 a month is an extremely reasonable budget. When I lived here 6 years ago, which the cost of living has not changed barely at all, I was living on $500 a month, and I still could do that. It's not hard. Like if I were still living in my 1-bedroom place and eating only Thai food, $500 a month is easy. And you know, so it's not expensive.
Wow.
That being said, you know, if you wanted to go all out and you're going to get Thai massages every day, which by the way costs like $3 to $6 an hour, you know, etc. Like I would say that there are people here who probably do manage to spend $2,000 to $3,000 a month, but that's very rare, and that takes effort to get to that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is insane. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, we all know that our time and our resources are our most valuable things that we can allocate. So if we have more time to focus because we have to spend more, or because we don't have to spend as much time working with clients, that as a part of any business, you have to start building. And there might be a stage where you have to take on clients, and that might not be your target client. That might not be somebody that you can serve, but because you can help them in a way, you might take them, but that takes time away from your ultimate goal. And you're saying you can bypass all of that by moving someplace else, leveraging your resources, and still using the internet to run your business. Because most of us run our business virtually, if, you know, for the most part, especially in the social media business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, you know, it still takes, the wherewithal to get stuff done and to do the client work that's going to pay the bills, because you do have bills regardless. I mean, I do know a lot of people who are living in Thailand and don't have it all figured out in terms of making money. It doesn't automatically come just because you moved to Chiang Mai that you're rolling in it or anything. It still takes focus. It still takes a clear idea of what you have to offer, and you need to be able to present that to people to be able to make baseline income. And so it's not a panacea moving here to Thailand, but if you've already got the basics down in terms of what you offer, who you're working with, if you've got that basic foundation of a business, or you want to have the time and money to invest in building that basic foundation of a business, then Chiang Mai is a really amazing place. But, you know, you still have to put in the work regardless.
I agree. Okay, so I am looking at Chiang Mai. So I'm here in America until early September. One of my spots are obviously the Philippines, because I have an outsourcing company there. It'll be amazing for branding, and I'm going to be showing different parts of the Philippines. But I also know there's a whole crew of people just like you out in Chiang Mai, and you guys are all congregated. There's a tight knit, close community that I would love to meet, but I can't do both right now on this next trip. So one of my things that I'm weighing out, so I'm old school Thomas Edison. I write down the pros and I write down the cons. And right now for the Philippines, the pros is we got a lot of beaches over there. What are the beach situations like in Thailand?
I mean, come on now, you know Thailand's got good beaches, right? I think that's
how close is it from Chiang Mai?
We're up in the mountains here, so we are basically on the opposite side of Thailand from the ocean, which for me is actually great because I'm a mountain person. But you know, flights within Asia are ridiculously cheap. I mean, budget airlines rule the day here, and so in terms of being able to fly down to the islands, yeah, I mean, you're talking like literally $40 for a ticket to get from here straight to Phuket, or you can fly down to Surat Thani. There's tons and tons of islands. Another huge digital nomad hub for the south is Koh Lanta. And so that's where a lot of people go because there's co-working spaces, there's good internet. It's beautiful. Right now is rainy season, and so it's not the ideal time to be down in the islands, but you'll find, you know, during the dry season, like December, January, February, there's huge amounts of people that are hanging down in the islands also. And so it's not just Chiang Mai that is a digital nomad hub. It's somehow become the most famous one. I don't quite know why that is, but ultimately, like basically all around Southeast Asia at this point, you have good internet, you have a huge community of people who are working online. It doesn't matter where you are. You're going to run across other digital nomads along the way because there are so many people that are practicing this geographic arbitrage where they're earning in one currency, spending in another currency. It's really easy and possible. The thing that makes Thailand stand out, I think, is that the internet connections here are a little bit better than some of the other places in Southeast Asia, but only marginally. You know, and I know that there's nomads that are traveling through Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. I used to live in Vietnam myself, and I spent a lot of time there too, and I'm able to work there. Another huge hub is Bali. That's probably the place that rivals Chiang Mai in terms of the number of people who are working online and running their businesses from there.
Nice. That's such a great rundown. Great information. All right. So you can live this lifestyle because you know how to go out and get business. Point blank, period. You know how to go out. You know how to make the dang thing go boom. Okay. And a lot of people are afraid of failure or success. Most people are afraid of failure, which is, you know, you're going to have to fail. That's how you learn in any business. And there's some people who are just like at the ledge and they're like, you know what? I want to live in Chiang Mai. I want to live in Bali. I want to go join Frank at the outsourcing conference in October of 2016 in the Philippines in Cebu. You know, I want to go join him over there, but I'm addicted to my paycheck. Every other Friday, so-and-so pays me a bill. Uncle Sam gets their fee, and then I get what's left. And I got to use that money to last me another 2 weeks. So how do you get started?
Well, I'm a bit of a throw caution to the wind kind of person. And so I started without really having that safety net. For me, it was important to have to make the money to survive so that I would do the steps that it took to make the money. That's my personal approach. I have a pretty high risk tolerance compared to the average person, though. And I also have relatively low responsibilities. And so I understand that a lot of other people are in very different situations when it comes to their commitments and their family, et cetera. And so I don't want to be flippant about the reality that it takes to become an entrepreneur, because I know that a lot of people are a lot further down the salaried path than I ever got. And so for them, it's a bigger transition. But, you know, at some point, it takes the conviction to know that if you decide to do it, that you'll be able to do it. And it takes a whole lot of trust in yourself. And I think that's what stops a lot of people, is that they're not necessarily confident that they will succeed if they put their mind to it. I feel blessed to have just been born a person that naturally can recognize my own potential and can try to leverage that to create something for myself. And so I feel that that's a huge advantage that I was lent in my entrepreneurial journey. But for people who, that doesn't necessarily come as easily to, I think, they may need to take more incremental steps in terms of building up something on the side. Because for me, I have long-term clients. I have very stable situations with my long-term clients. And so I don't necessarily think of it as any different than the person that's picking up their paycheck every 2 weeks. They could be fired from their job. I could end my relationship with my clients. It's not that different. And so for me, I would suggest just kind of doing the side hustle, getting your first client until you get the proof of concept. And then, you'll be able to, through that effort and through that experience, refine what it is you do have to offer. Because I think that that's part of the issue, is that a lot of people think they need to know from the get-go exactly what their entire career path is going to be, what their business is going to look like, what they're going to specialize in. And at least for me, that has been much more of a long-term evolution. I more so chose what I wanted to start off with, and then allowed that to transition into what I do now. And it has not at all been, a straight linear path. And so I don't want anybody to think that they're not doing things right just because they're constantly changing their mind. They're kind of wandering in terms of what they have to offer. They're constantly refining their message. That's all part of the process. And that's necessary to end up at a place where you're actually doing something that feels right to you, because you're not going to know whether or not a path is right for you until you're walking down it. And then if it doesn't feel right, the good thing is you can just keep veering off to a different direction. Nobody's keeping you to any schedule or outline that you decide before. I mean, the only force in action is the market. And if you're offering something that other people find valuable, and you're putting yourself out there to help other people find out about it, you'll end up with, ending up where you want to be. I think that's pretty much one-to-one correlation there.
First off, you are very well spoken, and there's a lot of words that I'm gonna have to go back in there and look up in the dictionary, because you're really well spoken. The English language has not slipped you in your travels.
Hey,
sure.
I'm a content strategist at heart. What can I say? Communicator.
So with marketing right now, what is one of the fastest ways, or one of the best ways, or just like one of your more favorite ways to market somebody? So you and I both know that the lifeblood to any business, number one is sales. But in order for you to get sales, you have to get attention. You have to get attention first, and then you can get the sale. So how do you get the attention?
I think it really, really depends on every single business. It depends on your product. It depends on where the people who are buying your product are hanging out. Because I think a lot of people hear like, okay, there's this way that somebody else made money. I need to follow that way. I need to follow this prescribed path. And I think it's a lot more elusive than that. And as somebody that looks at people's different businesses and figures out, okay, where should this specific person put their energy? I think that there is a huge variety to pay attention to. And it really all starts from understanding who you're selling to. And that's a huge part that people leave out. So they hear, oh, Snapchat's the new thing. I need to be on Snapchat. And hey, you know what? I'm all about Snapchat. That's actually one of my main platforms. I'm not knocking Snapchat. What I'm saying is it's not about the hot new thing, or necessarily that like you must build your email list or you must have a Facebook group. All those are good tactics, but ultimately it's about where is the attention that you're looking to grab. And so I have a whole bunch of different clients, and we have different strategies for every single one of them, depending on what they're actually trying to accomplish, who they're trying to reach. I will say that there are certain places in digital marketing at this very moment that have disproportionate attention being focused on them. And I think there are a lot of things that people can look into that might actually work for their business that they might not have considered. I mentioned a few of them just now. For me, Snapchat has been extremely important in building a personal brand. And that's basically what I've used as my hub for connecting with people, for making a name for myself, for keeping myself accountable, for producing daily content, for getting comfortable on video, and for really making the most of sort of this principle of immediacy disappearing, people actually paying attention to what you're putting out because it won't last forever. I think that's a really interesting twist that's happening in digital marketing. And so I'm very intrigued and interested by that development. I mean, at the same time, it's not that I have recommended that all my clients get on Snapchat and start using it as their main platform, because it doesn't make sense for most of them at this very, very precise moment in July 2016. I do see the tidal wave coming with Snapchat. There's also, I think there's a huge amount of attention going toward live video, as you obviously know, Frank. I think there's a lot that can be said for Facebook groups, and anywhere that is basically designed around community, tribes, people coming together to help each other. That's what's really intriguing to me about the digital marketing landscape, is that I think for the last few years, we've really seen this big push toward numbers. Now we get to quantify our relationships, quantify our publicity. We have these likes, we have these metrics, etc., that we can use to figure out what's working, what's not working. And that was really exciting to people who have been used to not having the ability to track all that kind of stuff. But what I see happening now in digital marketing is that we're coming full circle back around to much more qualitative relationships, and forming connections with your customers, forming connections with other people, allowing that sort of deep referral network to then play itself out, rather than saying, oh, we're a success because we got 100,000 likes on our Facebook page. And so for me, it's a huge evolution. It's always shifting. It's something that I'm constantly paying attention to. It's something that I would never prescribe as there being one way. I think there's many ways for many people, but it's all about being smart with what's actually going to be effective in terms of where you put your energy.
So you dropped a lot of things that I want to focus on for the superstars in the talent tribe. But the first thing that I want to focus on is you brought up Facebook groups and tribes. And I love tribes. And the home of my tribe is in my Facebook group, the talent tribe. You can find that by going to Facebook and searching for the talent tribe. I'm in your Facebook group, which is really cool. And the level of engagement and the people in your group is just really high quality. So just talk to us about the whole formation of your Facebook group and all of that.
So I actually have two Facebook groups now. One just launched this week. The first one that I did was the Snapchat Marketing Mastermind Facebook group. That one is the one you're referring to, and it's going really well. It was something that I created because I was a newbie Snapchat marketer, and I didn't see that there was enough resources where we could share as a community about how to do Snapchat marketing. And so I really started that one because I wanted to be able to pool resources, share information, help people who are trying to figure out how they can most effectively market on Snapchat come together and discuss these things in a broader public forum. I think that was really important because Snapchat's the kind of place where we have these discussions, but we have them very one-on-one. And I knew that I was having these conversations with so many different people, and I wanted to bring that to light in a more of a group setting. And so, Snapchat Marketing Mastermind was born and has really grown and become the biggest Snapchat marketing group on Facebook. And like you said, we've attracted really quality people who are taking the time to share great content. And I see myself as a facilitator of that group. But I don't necessarily, like, it's not something that I'm putting myself out front and center as like the host, so much because I want to make sure that it's very much a community focused group. And I think that one's been really interesting to watch. The second group that I just launched this week is called Small Business Social Media. And I started that because I am in tons of awesome Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, for social media, but I didn't see anything that was really focusing on the intersection between social media and the needs of small business owners. Because I think basically what I see as a small business owner is that, you know, I understand digital marketing techniques, but, you know, for me to actually put them into practice takes a whole different set of circumstances because I have limited time. I have limited resources. I need to understand how I can best use and best leverage these limited resources that I have to create results for my small business. And so I wanted to start a group where we could come together and share resources about that because I know that there are a lot of other people in the same boat and they may be put off by, you know, kind of the marketing jargon of a lot of these social media groups. I wanted to make a place where social media discussion was really accessible to people who are busy running other kinds of small businesses who are not marketers, because I am a marketer. I hang out in those areas, but I understand that that is not something that, you know, people, when you go around dropping articles like what is the ROI of Snapchat, that is literally like Yiddish to the average small business owner. And so I wanted a place where we could kind of come together and talk about these things in a way that made sense. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey with both of these groups, especially with the Snapchat Marketing Mastermind group, because something that I became very clear on right at the start was that this needed to be a place where the value of what was posted in the group needed to be protected. And so I've been, you know, while I'm not necessarily the strictest admin, I have been making sure that that content in the group is added for the benefit of the group rather than for the benefit of the poster. And that is a big difference between my group and some of the other groups that I've seen on Facebook. And so that's for me been probably the most important part of what I'm working on with that group is to really make sure that every single thing that gets posted adds value to the other people in terms of helping them better understand Snapchat marketing. And so that's been a huge focus for me in growing that community.
That was a wonderful response. I want to zoom in for the superstars and the talent tribe and just really break this down. She started a group because there was no community for that need. There was a need for people who were in marketing to talk specifically about Snapchat at a very high level. And I'm in her Snapchat group. And when I'm looking through the people that are responding on the comments, these are big names that are putting out content with thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. And they're out taking time out of their day to post on this Facebook group and just give. And in my group, the Talent Tribe, I'm the host. I welcome everybody. I said, welcome. I throw conferences for us. I have webinars where we do. So I use my tribe as a way for me to get my message out. And I view people in my tribe are people who are the 1%ers of the people that are following me. I've got followers everywhere else, but the people in my Facebook group, they're the really hyper focused people. And the people that are focused from that are like the raving fans that are like going to tell you what they like, what they don't like, what to do content on, what kind of promotions to do, what kind of sales. So they're just going to tell you what their needs are. And you took it a completely different way, but it's still Very, very viable way. And you just said, here's a community. I'm going to kind of facilitate it, but y'all go ahead and run with this. And there's just so much organic engagement in there. What was really the deciding factor between you not being a host type of Facebook group, admin, and the more laid back life's a party kind of host that you are right now in the Snapchat group?
I think it was that I really saw it as a peer group. For me, it's people that are doing the same kind of things as me. I am a Snapchat marketing practitioner. I am testing it out and using it and seeing what works just like anybody else. And so for me, that's really important to focus on actually, just creating that conversation. I don't see myself as any more of an authority on subject than anybody else that's in the group. And I think that that's really lent itself well to encouraging people to jump in. That being said, I think there's tons of different good uses for Facebook groups. And I would encourage anybody who's running a business to think about their target customer and work backwards from who that person is, and kind of figure out what kind of community could you create that would serve that person. And I think that there's huge value in creating groups where you bring a whole group of people together and offer them value in a Facebook group. And that's something that I have definitely been noticing other people leverage successfully. It's part of what's helped me to make the decision to launch the small business social media group, because I know that in that space, I do have a lot of expertise to offer, and I will be taking more of a host role, although I definitely want to make sure that every group that I run is a community where people aren't only coming to ask me questions or to pose issues or statements to me, but also doing it to share with the other people who are on the same level, because I think that there's huge value in coming together as a community. And when you can really feel the sense of community, that's leverage not only for your own personal brand, but it's also value that ends up creating ripple effects for all the other people who are in there. And ultimately, we all doing this because we want to help other people make the world a better place, right? So for me, regardless of exactly how it translates into developing my own personal brand, although that's important to me, I see it as facilitating something for the greater good, and it's something that I love being a part of. I think Facebook groups are extremely special at this moment. I think part of what makes them special is that Facebook privileges the content that you get in groups on your Facebook newsfeed, and that's something to be very conscious of, because as people who are trying to reach others, we need to pay attention to the fact that 1.6 billion people are on Facebook. It's no joke. It's the network that we need to be leveraging. And so if you're able to get in front of people on Facebook, that's extremely valuable in terms of any marketing that you're doing. And if you can get in front of them with hardcore value, like is appropriate to share in a group, then I think that's even better.
That's great. You brought in a bunch of really cool things in there. I really want to focus on something that you said and there's a bunch of questions that we have, but you're just dropping some knowledge like crazy. When you have a Facebook group, you said that you started backwards and you were like, okay, I want to work with small business owners. There's not really a community that breaks things down into layman's terms. So I'm going to work my way backwards and, target these small businesses. So how do you target them? How does that work?
So for me, that just means actually coming across, making real relationships with people, and then saying, hey, I have a group that's for us. Because I also am a small business owner that's using social media to try to spread my impact. And that's really what that group, the small business social media group, was designed for. And so it's a slow process. Like, we just launched this week. I'm expecting, 1,000 members this week, but we'll see. Anything is possible. I think like anything, it has to do with knowing who you're targeting and where they are, right? And so for me, I know that I am looking to work with people who, you know, are a little bit older than me, who are running small businesses or who are solopreneurs, who are very busy with working on their own impact in the world and don't necessarily have time to study every single thing that it takes in this day and age to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of social media. And so I want to find those people where they are. So for now, you know, that's been leveraging my existing network, leveraging existing groups that I'm in, people that I know, you know, my personal network. I think that, you know, we, in this era of being able to distribute our message, you know, so widely, a lot of us have forgotten that ultimately it just comes down to personal relationships, right? Like now you and I know each other a little bit better, Frank. And so now we're in each other's personal network, and that, who knows what's going to be born from that. And I think we can't take for granted, just because we have scale in who we have to reach, we can't take depth in each of those relationships for granted. That's part of why I love Snapchat so much, because it allows that depth. But for me, I'm willing to go the slow route to grow in the group if it means that we have quality relationships and quality connections and quality people who are attracted to join us there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Moto JT, this is Jay Garrett, and he is a mortgage broker nationwide. He actually just switched to a nationwide broker as opposed to being just a Texas broker here in the last month or so, because he was getting so much business and referring so much business to other states that he had to quit his firm and start up another one where he had national access to mortgages because he was getting so much business. He's a personal friend, and I met him at the Austin, Texas Board of Realtors at a presentation, and I saw him in the background periscoping and Snapchatting, and I was like, that's my guy. I need to go talk to him right now. And we hit it off. He's the one who showed me how to use Blab. Actually, I took him to some barbecue, and he showed me how to use Blab. So he asked, how has Snapchat helped you in your branding? Has it helped pick up business? What happened to those clients?
So Snapchat for me has been where I built my personal brand. I was doing social media marketing for all my clients. Not, you know, they knew who I was, but the average person, the general world, didn't ever hear the name Erica Blair until recently. And Jay Prue and I will drop the Facebook group links for you later. But yeah, so for me, it's been the place that I built my entire foundation. It's the place where I connected with people. I find Snapchat is a really valuable place to be right now because there's a lot of really interesting people. Like the early adopters that have been attracted to Snapchat have been kind of people really at the top of their game in business and marketing, et cetera. And so it's been an invaluable professional networking place for me, because not only am I connecting with these people, but we're seeing what each other's lives are actually like, which is really cool. Because, you know, I live a non-traditional lifestyle, as we talked about. And for me, you know, to be able to be bold about that and to put that out there and to have people, you know, who are working with me because they like how I'm living, because they like how I'm doing, because they know who I am as a whole person, not just because of the marketing expertise that I have to offer. For me, that means a lot more, because I think we're moving into an era where personal brands have a very different role to play than they ever have in the past. I think that now that we have the access to each other, we are not only wanting but expecting to see more about somebody than just what they do in a professional capacity. And so for me, Snapchat has allowed me to be a very diverse personality and still make business connections, which I love about Snapchat. And in terms of business, you know, at the moment, I have had a very full client load. And so for me, it's been, you know, I haven't necessarily been looking to add more clients. I'm just getting to the stage right now where I even have availability for more clients, just because I'm shifting kind of the way that I do my packages. And so time will tell, but What I know is I have planted the seeds of some really beautiful relationships through Snapchat, and I am willing to play the long game here because I'm not trying to make a quick buck. I'm not worried that I haven't made thousands of dollars from my Snapchat efforts this month. What I know is that ultimately I've connected with some really solid quality people, and I'm willing to let that play out and to keep sharing what I know is my value and see what comes back as a result. I want to lead with value rather than lead with expectation that anything is going to create business immediately.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to contribute and add that Snapchat for me. And by the way, I live in America, so I have to pay American rent prices. I have to pay American food. So that's a great place to be. I'm on a different thing where I'm Mr. 10X rule. I love to sell. I love to generate revenue. So, that's a great way to build that. And I also build relationships. When someone joins my tribe, I send them a personal voice message, a video message if I can, and I build people out one-on-one. I connect with people on Snapchat a lot and take them directly to my Facebook group in the tribe and deepen our relationship there. But I will tell you this, I have used Snapchat and Periscope live streaming platforms in their own right to do a soft 5-figure launch. And what I mean by soft 5-figure launch is no emails, no ads. I never once publicly posted a link to purchase a product or a program that I did. And I used nothing but Periscope and Snapchat in one day in what I call a 24-hour value blitz. Just gives so much value to the marketplace. But I will say that prior to those 24 hours, I still broadcasted every single day, and I come with fire every single broadcast, every single time, nonstop. Yeah. You will never see the same scope from me ever. You will never see the same material. It's all fresh every single day. That is my promise. When you follow the talented Mr. Salas, I'm going to help you with that. So in one day on a Sunday, I said, I feel like making some money today, and I'm going to do it through Snapchat and Periscope. And by the way, I've got this course called the Talent School, which is now my flagship course and my prerequisite before anybody works with me one-on-one that helps me generate revenue and funnel people through a process. So, because as you know, it does take time to work with people one-on-one, and there's probably a lot of patterns or same things that people have in challenges that I found in my business, at least, that I just put in my brain into a course and said, I understand you want to work together. This is my process. Go here first. And that generates revenue for me. And that allows me to focus on clients who want to work together one-on-one. But in one day on Periscope and Snapchat, all I did was give value from stuff like how to get media, how to use ghost codes, how to do Snapchat, how to get podcasts, how to do Pinterest. I just did it all. I literally was on broadcast for like a marathon day, 10 or 12 hours that whole day. And then on one of the final broadcasts when everyone was going insane and nuts, I was like, by the way, you go to this link, I got a program starting tomorrow. 5-figure soft launch. It was insane. The most engaged launch I've ever been a part of. And it was so cool. But but the reason I tell you that is because when I was doing it on Periscope, obviously you get the live love, but on Snapchat, you got the individual one-on-one connections where people were asking questions about the program. They were telling you what their problems were, and people pay you to solve problems. So I was able to demonstrate value and say, I can solve your problem this way. I'm going to give you value first, then I'm going to give you more value, then I'm going to give you even more value, then I'm going to serve you, put my arm around you and serve you, and then I'm going to ask you for your business. And that's exactly what I did in a 24-hour cycle to several clients who are way more in a better place in their business just from being on Snapchat. So I just wanted to really contribute that part on this presentation on the podcast. So let's go ahead and wrap. We're going to wrap up because I know we got to respect your time. It's daytime over there in Chiang Mai, and you still got a whole day to conquer. It's nighttime over here, and we're just winding the day down, most of us. If somebody is not a digital nomad right now, if somebody is, and they want to be, because there are people who have kids. Actually, two things. I have somebody who's like, Frank, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to travel the world. I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, why not? Traveling the world's awesome. And they're like, well, I have kids and I want them to go, and they live in this gated community and they have this awesome whatever, and they have the best blah, blah, blah instructors, and we've got the best hospitals and stuff like that. I know from being digital nomad that I see some very well-to-do parents with some very young kids and some older kids who have private violin instructors, fencing instructors, English, Spanish, German, Japanese, whatever you want to speak instructors. And they're teaching their kids all of these applicable life skills that they can use. And they're still homeschooling them with one-on-one private attention. They have bodyguards, they have gated communities, they, feed their kid whatever. Their kid is never without want. They have exposure to different cultures. And also, if that's just my personal experience, but what kind of experience have you seen with families in the digital nomad lifestyle?
It's totally possible, and you can have a high quality lifestyle, in fact, probably higher quality lifestyle by a lot of metrics here in Asia, in Thailand, than you can in a Western country where the cost of living is much higher. That being said, I do understand that travel is not what everybody is called to do in the way that I'm called to do it. And so I really do feel that ultimately the biggest, thing you can do is to figure out what makes you get excited, what makes you feel like you're doing what you love. And for some people, that means being very solidly based somewhere because they like having that connection with the place, with people, being close to family, friends. And so I don't necessarily ever proclaim that my particular lifestyle is, the way or, in any way better necessarily in terms of how to live, how to save money, how to run a business, whatever floats your boat. But if you're saying I want to be a digital nomad and I can't because I have kids, that's a different situation. Because if you really do want this lifestyle, you can have it with kids by all means. There are tons and tons of families who do it, who live here. It actually, in a lot of ways, it's easier to make a life here than it is in other places in the world. And so don't feel bad if you don't feel like you want to be a digital nomad. A lot of people don't. But, if that's your dream, go for it because you can do it. Seriously.
Awesome. All right. Final thing. If you were to go back and talk to yourself and get to this lifestyle. So again, we're talking to people that want to be digital nomads. Obviously, you want to be a digital nomad. So if you were going to give yourself advice 2 weeks after college, what are like the top 3 things that you would advise yourself to become a more successful digital nomad a lot quicker?
I think it took a lot of breaking out of what I thought were the set paths. And so I think I would be a little bit more open-minded in terms of what's possible. I think that also has a lot to do with the era that we now live in. Things have really shifted over the last 8 years that I've been out in the work world. I think that what the set of options were back then was very different and much more limited than what's available now. But in terms of that, if I'm going to talk about advice to my past self, or to people who are starting out right now, I think that there are a ton of options that you haven't heard about. And keep your ears open, keep your mind open, and kind of create and make a new possibility for yourself. Because it doesn't matter if you've never met anybody who's doing it or you haven't heard of anybody who's doing it. If it's something that you want to do, if you want to run a digital marketing business from anywhere, you might not have role models in terms of that. But anything that you want to make possible will be possible if you just decide to actually go for it. And that's the hard part, is not necessarily dreaming of it, but actually making it happen. And so I would encourage people to broaden the scope of what they see as the available options to them. And also, I think growing up in America, there is a lot of fear about the rest of the world. A lot of people see other countries and, it's been taught to us that they are dangerous, that life is tough, that it's very difficult for people to survive there, and people, they hear all this negativity about the rest of the world. And so, for a lot of people, when they first heard that I was living abroad, I got a lot of people asking me like, aren't you scared? Or, wow, you're so brave, etc. I think there's a huge misconception about what the rest of the world is like, particularly Southeast Asia. It's incredibly safe. It's incredibly chill, friendly, cheap. And so I think there's a lot to be said about just making it happen. But I will say this, make sure that you don't go into any journey that you take having every single thing planned out and trying to schedule everything on the internet. That is not how the rest of the world works. You may be able to book every single thing ahead of time in America, but if you do that here in Asia, you are not going to end up doing the coolest things that Asia has to offer. And so be flexible, be willing to just kind of jump in without plans, and see what happens, because you'll have a lot more fun than if you come in with all these rigid expectations and schedules, etc. You're going to find a lot more things here than you thought, than your mind could even conceive of when you were in wherever you came from.
That was awesome. That's awesome. Erica, where can people find you? We want to get a hold of you. What's the fastest way and the best way to connect with you?
Well, obviously, I'm all about Snapchat. My name on Snapchat is @the Erica Blair, Erica with a C, which is the same as my username here on Blab. And you can also get on my mailing list, ericablair.biz. So that's Erica with a C. That is, I'm redesigning my website right now, and so the full website isn't up, but for now you can still get on my mailing list. And I'm always sending out basically all sorts of different tips and ideas that come through all the work that I'm doing with small businesses.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time and just educating us on a different part of the world, a different lifestyle, awesome marketing techniques, and just your perspective on social media, life, business, travel is phenomenal. So thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank.
Awesome. And to all the superstars in the Talent Tribe, if you want more interviews like this, you can check out my YouTube. I'm everywhere at Talented Mr. Salas. And for those of you guys who are watching this on YouTube, make sure you join my inner circle at the Talent Tribe. Thanks again, Erica, and talk to you guys later.
Cheers. Thanks. Have a good one.